Good morning again. My name is Reverend Mykal Amaré, and I'm here today at Northern Light Spiritual Center with Reverend Mykal Amaré, and we have in the center we have Reba Schneider. So she is waving. Northern Light Spiritual Center is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Light Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. We at Northern Light Spiritual Center acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Salish Coast peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room, by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room. So I'm going to invite us, as we enter into a community meditation, to just settle into our seats. Feel the ground under our feet. And as we settle in, just put our attention to our breath. Taking a breath in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. And with the sound of the rainfall in the background, allow ourselves to imagine the smell of the world during a rain. And just notice any sensations as we let ourselves become aware of that smell of the rain. And let ourselves just enjoy the fact that as the sound goes on, we are dry and comfortable. We're not having to consider when the rain lets up enough so that we can run to some place. Just let our imaginations enjoy the cleansing of the air that comes with the rainfall. This seeming cleansing for the whole world. What in our own lives would we want to cleanse and renew? What would we welcome as a part of our life that could be refreshed? What have we held on to? What is it that we can simply let go? What can we renew? And just as we imagined the smell of the air, imagine the sensation of that renewal. How do we want to greet that renewed aspect in our life? What emotions are available to us? Are we excited? Are we a little fearful? Are we a little bit confused about how this will fit into our lives? However, this renewed aspect of our lives comes forward, imagine what it would be to simply allow our sense of excitement our sense of pleasure to increase. Our sense of enjoyment for that refreshed part of our lives, that renewed part of our lives. Imagine just opening our hearts to bring it in. Imagine if there were feelings of fear or confusion. That we can hold those and excitement and pleasure. And that each of us are a cosmos capable of holding so much. And consider where we can go now that we are starting from this renewed place. Consider a trajectory we had not imagined. Simply let whatever thoughts and feelings wash over you the same as the sound of the raindrops. And that you remain protected and warm and dry. Once again, let's turn our attention to our breath. Turn our attention to our bodies, to our feet on the ground. Allow our eyes to open to return to the rooms where we are. And we settle back into the space where we are right here, right now. And so I say Ashe, Amen, and so it is. You have the emissary room up for a reason.
Well,
Oh, okay. So today's reading comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 through 35. Now that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, a very familiar person, and yet strange, came up and walked along with them. They could not for the life of them recognize this person. This person asked, "What are you discussing as you're walking along? They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened here these days?" "What things?" the stranger asked. "There's that Jesus of Nazareth. He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before the Spirit and all people. The chief priests and priestesses and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified Jesus. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what's more, it's the third day since all of this took place. In addition, some of the women in our company have amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but they couldn't find the body. They came and told us they had seen a vision of angels who said that Jesus was alive. And some of our companions went to the tomb and found it was just as the women had said. But they didn't see Jesus." And the stranger said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow to believe what the prophets and the seers have spoken. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter the glory?" And beginning with Moses and all of the prophets, the stranger explained to them what was said in the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, the stranger continued on as if going further. But they urged this person strongly, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening. The day is almost over." So the stranger went to stay with them. When at table, the stranger took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized the stranger. And the stranger, Jesus, disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while the stranger talked on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and those with them assembled. And they said, "It is true, the Lord is risen and appeared to Simon." Then the two told what had happened on their way and how Jesus was recognized by them when they broke bread. And so it is. So, happy April. The new chant for this month, Michael's bringing it up on the screen. "Walk with me on this journey. Come with me to see. Step with me on this road less traveled. Go forth with me and be more than I can imagine, more than I can dream, more than what I can ever know, more than I can see and think and be." Walk with me on this journey. Come with me to see. Step with me on this road less traveled. Go forth with me and be more than I can imagine, more than I can dream, more than I can ever know, more than I can see and think and be. Now you, walk with you on this journey. Come with you to see. Step with you on this road less traveled. Go forth with you and be more than you can imagine, more than you can dream, more than you can ever know, more than you can see and think and be. Now us, walk with us on this journey. Come with us and see. Step with us on this road less traveled. Go forth with us and be more than we can imagine, more than we can dream, more than what we can ever know, more than we can see and think and be. Walk with me on this journey. Come with me to see. Step with me on this road less traveled. Go forth with me and be more than I can imagine, more than I can dream, more than what I can ever know, more than I can see and think and be. What are you trying to do?
I already stopped sharing. This is what I mean.
Rise up, oh my soul. good morning. That was the formerly known as CSL Choir of Light, and it was called Rise Up My Soul. And I believe Eric, did Eric write that?
No, it was Aaron McGowan.
Oh, it was based on the words of from Emma Curtis Hopkins. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I get confused easily. So good morning. Here we are on Easter Sunday. We had our sunrise meditation this morning. It was three of us, the dog, and the ducks and geese and crows. It was quite entertaining. So the title of my talk today is Rise Up My Soul. And that's why hence the song. And today we celebrate, the Christian faith and celebrates the resurrection of Jesus from the grave. And resurrection, the definition of resurrection is a state of being raised from the dead. Imagine that. I thought there must be another definition, but it really, I couldn't find any. But also, resurrection is it's like a time of rebirth and renewal. And Ernest Holmes, in the Journey into Life, wrote about resurrection. He said, "Today the horizon is clear. The voyage starts anew. We are reborn. The true resurrection is not only from this life into the next. It takes place daily and hourly as we shed the limited concepts of life and come into the vineyard to gather the full fruit of the Spirit hanging rich from the vines of God. A person may be reborn, remade, and renewed in mind, body, just through taking a little time to get acquainted with their better self. Just through coming to recognize the invisible and almost unknown guest who accompanies everywhere through life, the spiritual presence within. We should resurrect ourselves to the joy and simplicity and spontaneity of life and leave the corpse of our dead yesterdays in the tomb of their own obscurities. We should live more abundantly in God this day. When we come out of our tomb of ignorance and disbelief, how glorious shall be the dawn." And I like that part about leaving the corpse of our dead yesterdays in the tomb of their own obscurity. I thought that was pretty cool actually. Because we are, reborn basically every moment. Because this moment right now is totally different from the moment, let's say 5 minutes ago. And we are not the same today as we were yesterday. We rested, we woke up, hopefully in our right minds, and revitalized and renewed, and we're not the same. We move each step in our lives, and as each step we move, we learn and we grow. I always said one time years ago that once I stop learning and growing, then that would be the time to lay this body down. Because I believe that's what we're here for on this earth, on this planet, to learn and to grow. So, and we are all called to live passionately and compassionately with others, to defy death. And death may not be laying the body down, there are different deaths that we experience in our lives. To forgive and to do something that is life-giving and that fights needless suffering. Sometimes it seems so, we have to do so much, but that's not true. It's really, it's sad, I've always heard in my life, that it's the little things that count. And I really believe it is the little things. A smile, a gesture, a greeting. Or someone may be in front of you in the store. This is one of my favorite things. And they're just a little short to pay for their groceries. You can reach out, dig out $1 or $2, whatever it is, and pay that for them. That little act of kindness that we can do to help our fellow travelers. And the question is, can we really bring people back from the dead? And the answer is yes. Not the physical death, but the deaths that we experience every day. Because we experience losses almost every day, Even the loss of a missed phone call, that's a loss. Every time we bring hope into a situation, we raise somebody up. Every time we bring joy, where it comes to shattered despair, that's raising someone up. Every time we forgive others and give them back their dignity and a possibility of a future, that's raising someone up. That's resurrecting someone. Every time we listen to others, and affirm them and their life, we are raising them up. And every time we speak the truth. But sometimes we have to be careful of what truths we speak. Because sometimes you can be brutally honest. And that's not helpful to another human being. And then every time we confront injustice, we bring people back from the dead. So all these things we can do to raise others up, to lift them up. We also have to include ourselves in that. We have to raise our own soul to be kind and gentle and forgiving to ourselves. Because, when we punish ourselves, that's a death. That's not giving life to yourself by punishing yourself, by ridiculing yourself, by judging yourself so harshly. I think that's a lot of the problems in the world today, that we're judging ourselves so harshly, and when we do that, then we tend to spew it out on others. Because when I have to say for me, when I'm feeling tired and grumpy and whatever, I'm not always the most pleasant to be around. Because I can go into a silent thing, or I can just be grumpy. And you take it out on others. And that's not their fault. So as we move and grow each and every day and change, we're like a continuous caterpillar. And we're going in and coming out a different person. I love the idea of being reborn. Being reborn each and every day, each and every moment, because it is just, we are miraculous creatures. Because we are the expression of the divine. I love to sit and watch people sometimes. That is, I think, one of my favorite pastimes. I remember many, many years ago going to the fair down in Puyallup, and just sitting there and watching people. And I think people are the most what's the right word? Amazing creations. Just like little babies, watching little babies, what they do. I read something yesterday that the statement that before babies talk, they sing. Before babies walk, they dance. And then there was another one, but I can't remember exactly what that was. But it's so true if you think about it. Before babies write, they draw. And that is so true. These little creatures, they're actually doing all these other things, before walking. They're dancing, because if you watch a little baby get up and they do that little, back and forth and side to side, and sometimes they plop on their butts, that's a little dance. And then we grow into youth, and then young adults, and then adults. And then if we're fortunate enough, we reach the elder stage. And if we watch each individual as we grow, and you may have come upon someone in your early years that was really grumpy, really cantankerous. But as that person grew, and you get to know them when they were older, that person can be one of the kindest, most loving people on earth. But you only knew them back when they were ornery and grumpy and cantankerous. So, by growing each day, we change, we evolve. And so, a lot of ways we can lift people up and raise our own soul is by giving your own attention to whatever you're doing. And you recognize the constant renewal of life around you. So many times when we're doing something, I have to speak for myself. When I'm doing something, my mind is partially on that, but it's off wandering somewhere, thinking about something else. Like, what are we going to have for dinner, or yada, 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 all these different things because our minds my mind gets so crazy sometimes. That committee up there, the committee should be sent on a hiatus sometimes. And sometimes they are. That's just like when we, 10 years ago, did a tandem jump, and I've shared this before, and somebody asked if I was, nervous or scared, and I said, if you look at the film, right before I go out the plane, I'm sitting on the edge of the door, and that look on my face is a look of terror. But within seconds after you fall out the door and you're plummeting to earth from 14,500 feet, I was in the present moment. That was I love to share it because that was one of the few times in my life that I can honestly say that I was in that moment, because there was nowhere else my mind could go. You're plummeting to earth, and I felt like my cheeks were going to slap me silly, because the air was pounding them so bad. But to be in that present moment, to only think about that moment. How many times in life can you do that? How many times in your life can you count that you have actually been truly in the present moment? And a lot of times in times of meditation or contemplation, I can bring myself to that. But the mind wants to think of something else, and things pop in all over the place. But if we could just attempt to focus on what we're doing in that moment, actually, things I think will come out better if we are focusing on what we're doing, especially driving. There's a lot of people out there that could do a little focusing on on their attention at the moment. And then another thing is to walk through beauty and notice the divine in people, things, places. I mean, I see these puppy and these kitten or cat pictures on Facebook, on social media, and you just melt, you know, or I do anyway. And you can see that the divine in those little creatures, you know, and if we could just witness that. I've shared before about one of my favorite walking meditations around Green Lake, where I had the intention of communicating with everyone I could as I was going around. But I didn't want to do it verbally, so we did it through eye contact. And that was one of the most rewarding walking meditations, or actually meditations, I think, that I had, because I realized that we don't need to continue babble on, because words a lot of times get in the way. And if you just connect with the eyes and see that divine spark in another individual, it's amazing. And with the beauty around, in recent years, I've fallen in love with trees. To see the beauty in the trees. This morning at Lake Washington, I had to take a picture of this one tree. All it is branches, but it was beautiful. It was sprawled out there, and it was just a magnificent thing. So if we can see the beauty and the divine in others, and in nature, and in the animals around, in everything, we're raising ourselves up. When you regularly hold others and pray for them and hold them in the highest, you're raising them up. And as you raise them up in prayer, you're raising yourself. Because you are focusing and knowing the highest and best for them. Enthusiasm is a mark of a life giver. I saw that and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Because enthusiasm can do so much. You walk in a room and the room is like, you know, dead. And if one person is in there has got some enthusiasm, they can get that room going. I know our youngest, Elizabeth, I told her a couple weeks ago when she was over and she was doing a class on the deck, and it was funny when I don't think she was even done, and I had to tell Vaughn, I said, you know, she's just like you. When she was teaching these I think they were kindergartners, her enthusiasm and love of what she was doing, I mean, you could not be down around that. I mean, a lot of times you can be down around a lot of things, but when you get somebody that's got that enthusiasm, that passion, and those of you that have heard Reverend Vaughn speak before or know him, you know he has a little bit of passion. And so that is a life giver. And when you can laugh and sing, you know, and just relish life. Cherish life. That is resurrecting. You're being raised up to another level. And then practicing gratitude, you can overcome the forces of boredom, despair, and taking things for granted. So many things at times in our lives, I think honestly say we take things for granted. And if we practice gratitude, the spiritual practice of gratitude, being grateful for what we have, who we are, and not just saying, oh, you know that's, because you expect it to be there. That's different than when you're doing when you're treating for something, than to automatically just think it's it's up to somebody to give that to me. A lot of times, children will be they expect things from their parents. So practicing gratitude, that to me is a huge, because that raises me up. Because sometimes when I'm down and on my little pity pot, if I just do a little practicing, being grateful for my life, for my health, even with some of the little idiosyncrasies, I'm alive, I'm moving, I'm kicking and screaming. I'm grateful for that. And then there's that bringing a bit of joy into an environment. Like I said earlier, you can come into a room and it can be heavy. But your energy can change that heaviness in the room. Your energy, your joyful energy, can change that energy, can change the energy in the room. I've seen it happen. And I like to think maybe sometimes I've been one of those that caused that. Because when you bring joy into a room, whatever that community you're in, you raise them up also. You raise their energy. And then also that I said earlier about the acts of kindness. They can soften the world. Because the world can be a hard place at times. But if you reach out and just do an act, one of those small acts of kindness, or a big one, it doesn't have to be small. Nobody's limiting the kindness that you can do. We read yesterday somewhere this millionaire or billionaire, he had sent so many kids through college. You don't hear about that. You don't hear about the people that do things like that. Out of the kindness of their heart, he sent. I don't remember the number of students he sent through, paid for their college, to help create a better world, to help create better lives for those individuals. And if those individuals have better lives, then that rubs off, and we have better lives. Another thing is to raise up your soul, is nurture yourself. Like I said earlier, be kind, be gentle. Then there's things like eating right, exercise, getting plenty of rest, so that your body can be renewed. That's why we have rest time, so that our bodies can revitalize. It's like charging it, plug it into a charger. Just taking that nice rest. And some nights aren't so restful, but most nights are. When you stay open at the top, and you listen to people and in situations, when you're open at the top, you're allowing new ideas to flow in and then flow out. I forgot we were discussing, I forgot where it was. Don't discuss with too many people these days, but you don't have to agree with every person. But if we respect the person and listen to their ideas and thoughts, and their dreams and hopes. If we listen, and we don't have to fix people, because sometimes people they don't want to be fixed and they don't need to be fixed. They just want to be heard by someone that is actually just listening to them. So by staying open at the top and not being running around with blinders on as I do sometimes, I can't see, what's on the side of me. It's only what's straight ahead. I've got the end, the finish line in right. That's all I'm focusing on. But there's so much else going on in the world that needs to have attention paid to it. That kind of sounds like I'm contradicting myself when I'm saying you focus on what you're doing. Well, that's what you're doing in the moment, but a lot of times you have to be aware. You have to be aware of your surroundings, being aware of what's going on. And if you're open, like open arms, you're welcoming, you're inviting. When you're like this, you're all closed off, that's not very inviting. So when you stay open to ideas, open to situations, because a lot of times situations, I don't want to do something because I've never done it before. I've never gone to this place. I've never experienced this situation, and I don't want to do it because it's unknown. But if I stay open to, it might be one of the best things that ever happened. And I've had situations like that where I didn't want to go, and then once I went and came back, it was one of the best things that ever happened. Finding a place where you can regularly practice silence. That can be excuse me. Frog there. Finding a place to practice to practice silence. I think I'm practicing silence right now. That can be a rejuvenating place. A place where only you are, where you can sit and be still. Be still and know that you are the expression of the divine, here to be and do what only you can be and do. Because you are here, you're here for a reason, you're here on purpose. There is no accidents in God. There are no mistakes. As a youth, I always thought that, I was a mistake. And even if we come into the world in the strangest ways, we're here on purpose. We're here for a reason. And so one of the biggest things that we can do is accept who we are. And accept our mission here, even if we don't know it. Accept that we are here to be that expression of the divine. Because I believe too that we are here I know we're here to learn and to grow. But the biggest thing I believe is that we are here to learn to love. And it's that divine love that we need to experience, and we need to learn how to give it. That unconditional love. There's so much conditions put on relationships and quote unquote love. If we can do it unconditionally and loving ourselves, and accepting our mission as a co-partner with the divine, a co-creator, as we travel through this thing called life, as we move forward, as we grow, as we experience the rebirth and the renewal of our energy and of our life. Rebirth and renewal. That's resurrection. And just as Jesus was resurrected from the grave, so are we resurrected. We've been put on the cross many times, usually by our own actions, our own choices, the things that we do. Because we do create heaven and hell on earth. We might not create it 100%, but we contribute to it. So I read this thing yesterday, and it fits. And it says, I fall, I rise, I make mistakes, I live, I've learned, I've been hurt, but I'm alive. I'm human. I'm not perfect, but I'm thankful. And ending that with, I'm thankful. Being grateful for all the steps we have taken. Because we each needed our steps that we had to take. I know each step I've had to, each part of my journey, even parts that have been unpleasant, have been painful, have helped me grow. And some of us grow, and some of us don't. We blame others. And when we blame others, we're not raising them up, we're not raising ourselves up. We're actually causing harm. Because once we realize that we take responsibility to pick ourselves up, to raise ourselves up, and yes, we need help sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. What's wrong is when we don't ask for help. Like I'm a very obstinate person, I guess you could say. So many times I think I can do it myself. I have to do it myself. And then something happens and I should have asked for help. But I do ask for help. I've grown. I probably don't do it as often as I should, but there are times when I'm in a situation and I need help. And that is raising your soul up. Because we're walking this path together, each and every one of us. And so to close out, I have an affirmation that I'm going to read. And I'll read a couple times if you want to, I don't have it printed. You can speak it too. I now realize that I am free every moment to renew my life by renewing my thinking. I now realize that I am free every moment
of my life
to renew my life by renewing my thinking. And one more time. I now realize that I am free every moment to renew my life by renewing my thinking. And so it is. I want to thank everyone who has joined us on Facebook or on Zoom. And those on Zoom can hang around. And because what we do here at the center, and we've been doing it when we weren't doing Zoom, is we discuss a little bit people, what they got out of the talk, maybe, well, that was nuts, kind of feedback. And so if you want to hang around on Zoom, that's fine. And so we'll be here next week, and Reverend Vaughn will be speaking next week. And I just want to give thanks for this day. Give thanks for this life that we live. Give thanks for this space that we have here at Northern Lights Spiritual Center. A space that is safe and welcoming. Safe physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I give thanks for anyone who has helped create this space. Anyone who has contributed in any way, shape, or form. As I said, we're in this together. And we build community. We build safe spaces. And on this sacred ground, I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for each of you. I give thanks for life. And so it is.